welcome to podcast 54.
Yes, just
54.
looked.
You just looked? Okay, great. So 54, which is amazing that we're at 54. Good job, Jeremy. Keeping this thing going.
He tells me good job every time.
It is. It's impressive.
It is. Again, getting the word out on things that are super important, mind, body, soul. We have a guest today, the Tom, how do you pronounce it?
Last name's Ostrander.
Ostrander.
Yeah.
From Seca Tru body analyzer manufacturer.
Yeah. I'll give you the official, if you will. So our parent company Seca has been around since we're a 180-year-old company, and based out of Germany. We are the worldwide leader in scales and medical weighing devices. So been doing a lot of the right things for a long time.
Right.
And so 70% market share. And then in 2012, we realized there was much more to overall metabolic health than just what the scale says, right?
Right.
So that's when we got into body composition. I was on the medical side, and by default, the body composition analyzer sort of trickled into the fitness industry, just for people looking for, clinical validations to the level that we have them, which we are recognized as the most accurate in the world. And so it did trickle over into the fitness side, but it didn't look like a fitness device. It was white, it was big, and highly accurate.
By the way, it's right behind him. You can see some of it. I mean, it's a big.
Well, the other model is wider, right? So we do
right.
Weight loss clinics and obesity,
right.
Medicine and so forth. So we streamlined it, made it black, because black's always cool.
Right.
And that was in 2019, and we developed the Seca Tru device to be more of a health club / boutique fitness sort of esque device, if you will.
Okay.
And then also had utilizing the same technologies and the same validations that we had, but brought into light into the fitness workflow.
Yep.
And then that's what you see here is the Seca Tru, which we launched in Germany in 2018. Quickly took 40% of the market in 2019.
Wow.
And in 2020, as you know, the world shut down a little bit. So our rollout in
that's
the
a
US,
big number, year one rollout.
It was over the first 3 years.
Okay,
but still, 40%. It's huge.
It's huge.
If I'm able to do 40% here in the US my first 3 years, I'd be a pretty happy guy.
Right. No
So
doubt.
that's why we're here.
No doubt. So Jeremy and I mean, from day one, it took us a little bit to get it, but from day one, it was always part of the plan, right? The body analyzer. Why was it part of our plan, Jeremy?
Well, I mean, like Tom said, you can't just determine how healthy you are based on standing on a regular scale and seeing how much you weigh, right? There's more to it. There's the metabolical numbers and all the other stuff that come with it that you're going to go over with. Yeah. And again, it's a baseline to show results. I mean, sometimes people don't know how well they're doing. Clients come in, they're working out for 3 months. They're like, yeah, I lost 15 pounds. I feel a little bit better, but there's no concrete numbers to show them what's really going on inside.
Exactly right.
It's funny being a scale company, but the scale doesn't always tell the truth.
Right.
And people go by the antiquated formula of BMI for so many things, and that's even insurance companies or whatever that may be. So people like myself, or that have any sort of substantial muscle mass to them, are labeled as clinically obese.
Right.
I could have feel great, all my vitals are great, all the blood work's great, 6-pack abs, have everything that is a representation of overall metabolic health, but because this BMI shows that I'm 37 or whatever it is,
right,
I'm listed as obese. And so if that's me, who has a 20 plus year fitness background, imagine the person that's coming into your facility,
yep,
that has never worked out before in their life, and they're just starting their fitness journey, and the first thing they get slapped with is you're clinically obese. Well, they probably knew that already, right? And that's why they came into your club. But it can be, it can really be detrimental to their overall psyche. And as you know, in their fitness journey, that first 30, 60, 90 days is so precious to make sure that they start out on the right foot and understanding that they are making progress.
And we talk about the mental aspects of it all the time. So it can either be detrimental and a give up, or it's and used as a crutch
Yeah.
or used as motivation and inspiration.
Exactly
Right? So it depends on that right person that honestly, authentically has made the decision that, yeah, I know my numbers aren't good before I get the report. Right? They know. And so how do we make those numbers better? And that's, and you spoke to BMI. Yeah, I mean, especially my journey to health, I wouldn't see changes on the scale, on a month, because I would lose 10 pounds but gain 3 or 4 pounds of muscle. Lose 10 pounds, gain 3 or 4 pounds of muscle. You know what I mean? So total now, I mean, it's a miracle. I've lost like 50 pounds, but easily have gained 15 or 20 pounds of muscle.
Sure.
So total actual fat loss is probably 70 pounds.
Right.
But had I had this, I'd know for a fact, as a
Exactly.
science, et cetera. So we're just guessing. And that's what we thought was, how do we actually bring data in a now data-driven world,
It
right?
is, yeah.
Everyone's data-driven. We've built the app that has so much info that we can add this to it, as far as numbers and accountability and data, and just setting goals. Like, it's 50 more data points to say, yeah, I want stronger right arm, and arms, and obviously less fat percentage, more muscle strength, etc. All that's super important. Now they have the data, which is why we always planned on getting this, and I'm so glad that we finally got it.
Yeah, we are too. And the thing about it is, and so my background was a health club operator. I've had boutique style studios, and I've had women's only, and I've had gyms on college campuses, and I've had high end, low end, I mean, everywhere in between it. You know? And I've been blessed to be brought up around some of the best operators literally in the world, that have really kind of influenced all this. And, we go back to the days of skin calipers, right? And you got people that do, well, I do a 3-point test. Well, I do a 7-point. Well, I do a 13, and that's great. But imagine the process of being someone that's not in great shape, and the first time they ever come into your studio, and you have them either disrobe, or you have to pinch them, or they could be headed for the door before they even get started.
Yeah, not comfortable. So for me,
and there's no science to pinching and calipers, and I
100%, yeah.
You have 5 people that do it, you're going to have 5 different results.
It's very subjective. You're absolutely right. And so, for me, one of the most attractive things about my product, Seca Tru, as they recruited me to run this division, was the simplicity of it. And not only is it accurate, that's phenomenal. How fast it is, how non-invasive it is. You just simply take off your shoes and socks, and you're up and running, and you're done in less than a minute. And to me, from an operator standpoint, it's just a much better workflow than having to go into a back room or asking a client to disrobe, or I'm going to grab you, pinch you, measure you, and put your results on blast. That's to me, that, and especially in today's day and age, and not to mention the subjectivity to each test as well. There's just too many variables and a lot of other technologies that for me didn't make a lot of sense. The concept makes sense, of course, of having a starting point and a reference point and being able to check and monitor your progress. However, the actual execution of it, it was like, the infomercial, there has to be a better way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we've accomplished that.
No, and I compare this to blood tests, right? I mean, there's no, you take a blood test on your yearly checkup, you need to cut cholesterol. The results and what you need to do, because the data, it's there. It's not how you feel or what the doctor thinks, or what, the data is there. So that's the whole beauty of now, and why we are so excited for our clients, is now we have the opportunity to give them the data, so they can see it and they can see improvements. They all feel like they're improving, but seeing it is going to be night and day. It's
for sure. It's so motivating.
It's so motivating and inspiring, and I've had those lulls where I've worked out so much and so hard, and I'm like, man, I don't know, you know, like you just don't know or see it. But yeah, doing blood work and blood tests and doing this, man, it feels so good to see improvement.
The body composition, you know, it's been said, and this is really where we're really aligned with this, is America is not really over fat as they are under muscle. And with lean muscle mass being the key to longevity in life. And you think about it, and think about the people that we know as when we were younger, the people that were our grandmothers and grandfathers, and you know, they're hunched over, and you know, I'm half Italian, and so I got the image in my head of my great grandmother with the, you know, standing over the stove like this, and the whole 9 yards. Well, you know, the bone density was low, and they had no muscle, and they just didn't know back then, right?
Right.
And so, you know, for us to be able to put that, you know, premium, to your point, yeah, it's, you know, a lot of times you think you're moving in the right way, or you feel like it. Well, until you know, you don't know, right?
Right.
And what you measure matters, right? What you measure, and it gets approved upon, you know.
Right.
You know, there's a time where, I wanted to tighten things up as far as my own body composition goes, and I noticed that my blood pressure medication that I was taking was actually, I could tell that I was actually taking too much, you know. So I cut my dosage in half. Okay. And a few weeks later, I went to the doctor, and not only was my blood pressure phenomenal, but all my other vitals were phenomenal too as well.
Right.
And so it was just that sort of validation of me seeing that in front of my face. Okay.
Yep.
That'll tell you real quick. And yes, I made the right decision. And it's been said a lot of times that just by improving your body composition, or even dropping 10% of your total body weight, will solve 90% of whatever health issues that you may have. And you know, I thoroughly believe it, 100%.
100%. We're all about that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you made a great point that it's not about the weight, it's not about the fat, it's about the muscle.
Right.
Like, we didn't know this years ago, and now it's like, listen, if you want to live longer, if you want to have less back pain, if you want to not break a hip when you fall when you're 50, you need muscle, and this thing measures like your muscle mass all around, which is really cool.
And again, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Like, I wish we had the scan a year ago for my dad, and what a difference that's been.
Yeah.
And he's an electrician, and he's 69 years old, and he was overweight, and everything hurt, and now he's thinner, stronger. He's like, I'm up and down ladders like I haven't in 20 years. Yeah. Like, I would have loved to see that. But yeah, we like the phrase grow young.
Yeah. Right?
Who wants to grow old?
Right.
So you put some time into yourself in this me time, and fix these numbers, because there's always improvement. That's life. Right. Not death.
No.
You're either going one way or the other.
Yeah, and Jeremy, you made a great point, and I spent some time in the sports medicine side of things too as well, and just the correlation between, you know, movement is life, right? And the statistics on if you're above 60 years old and you do break a hip, the statistics of you're X amount more likely to die in the next 12 months because you're not moving, right? Right. So how you handle these things, because you're gonna slip off a curb. I mean, we live in Cleveland, Ohio. You're gonna misplace yourself.
There's some ice on the street once in a while.
Yeah, and so those things are gonna happen. So is your body ready for it?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's the amount of force people, and it's kind of, not to get off on a tangent, but it's kind of interesting where I talk to different parents regarding, you know, weight training for kids and things of that nature, and like, well, I would not want my child to lift weights. Well, would you let your kid jump off a curb? Well, yeah, there's 10 times more force on their body jumping off a curb than there is in a controlled environment doing a front-loaded squat or whatever that may be. So people don't really realize that that's the game of life in a lot of the challenges that it presents to you on a daily basis, and we have to be ready for those in every aspect. So.
Sure. So let's talk about the unit. And man, it exceeded my expectations. Besides the data, which is super cool, how easy it is, and how easy it was to set up. Put together did not take an hour, by the way.
It did not.
It took more. But
depends on who it is.
Right.
I'm down to about 35 minutes right now.
Wow, that's pretty good. How many have you put together?
5 or 6, but I'll tell you what, the first 1 or 2 is probably two
learning curve. Yeah.
So the 6th one will take Jeremy 35.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But no, standing on it, scanning it, the interface, it's only what, 24 seconds?
Yeah.
24 seconds to do the full analyzation. You just stand straight, you know, it measures height,
Yeah.
weight, everything. And I mean, all these data points come up in 24 seconds. Talk about how the machine
so
works.
there's really, it's the test is really two-phase. So the first part, as you guys know, is your height and weight, right? And then it gives you the BMI. But it gives it just because we give it. And you know, height is an important calculation. You know, most people lie about their height. I do. You know, that's the former athlete being, you know,
Sure.
trying to get recruited, and oh yeah, I'm 6'1". And maybe at one time I was, but we all shrink over time, right? And your spine compresses. And you know, perfect example is I was at an event and I had a gentleman come out of the gym. Guy looked great, you know, is in his 50s, tall, lean, has some good muscle to him, really great muscle to him, and went over to another provider's booth with a similar technology of bioimpedance, which is what our technology is. On their device, you self-report your height, and so he said he was 6'4". And you know, most people wouldn't, but the challenge next guy's pretty tall, right?
Right.
And he was at 12%, and Kim comes over to our device, and he measures it at 6'2".
Right.
Actually 6'1" and 7/8.
Right.
And he was 17%, so 5 points higher. And he said, "Why am I higher?" I'm like, "Well, when you self-report your height over there, how tall did you say you were?" He said 6'4". Because I swear I'm 6'4". And so we did the whole thing where we measured the height
Right.
calibration
That
rod.
makes sense. Yeah.
He's like, "Wow!" And it just was like a light bulb. So yeah, that the height has a you know, direct correlation into the calculations and the output parameters. So
That makes so much sense. Of
And-
course.
yeah.
Of course.
That's why I didn't want to get that other scanner, because it didn't measure the height.
It
Yeah.
didn't measure the height
It's-
and the arms, which he'll talk
Yeah.
about. Yeah, it wasn't regular. Again, a lot of the big box gyms buy the cheaper one for that reason.
Right.
Is just to get one in.
Say they have it.
But we
Say they
never
have
have
it,
seen
yeah.
them used ever, and because people are intimidated or don't know how to use it themselves.
correct.
And B, you know, it's not accurate, as accurate. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry.
No worries. So then the second part of the test, is, as you alluded to, so then you simply grab onto the fixed handlebars, and there's two positions. And, you know, we say that the top hand grips are for taller individuals, whereas the bottom ones are for shorter individuals. What's taller, what's shorter? That's
Whatever's more comfortable.
whatever's more comfortable. The
Sure.
key is consistency. So
Sure.
if you do your measurements, your first measurement holding onto the top handles, always stick to that position.
Right.
Same thing on the bottom. So once you grab on, then and what's one point I want to make about the handrails, which is important, is that's where one of our patents is on that handrail system, because we want consistency. So yes, it's great that we're very accurate. Yes, it's great that we have, you know, this robust HIPAA compliant cloud and the whole 9 yards in our medical history. That's all awesome. But from an operator standpoint, from a practitioner standpoint, we want to make sure that we are consistent with our measurements. So if you're measuring with the gentleman we measured earlier today, we always want to make sure we try to measure him right around that same time, you know. And so if he starts measuring at 6 in the morning or at 6 at night, he's going to get some drastic fluctuations, right?
Sure.
So if we're going to really help him in his journey, we want to make sure that the data that we receive is accurate. Yes, we want to make sure, but it's also consistent. The handrail allows you to be consistent, because with the electrical current from the bioimpedance, you have to have some space between your limbs, and so forth.
So talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, they say you know that it's supposed to be 30 degrees, but I mean, what's 30 degrees for you or 30 degrees for me, or you know, I've got these big lats and you know, it might be old arms out here. This puts it in a fixed position, so it makes it less subjective. Or I'm sorry, it makes it very subjective, and so you know,
And it's repeatable.
it's
is the point.
repeatable. That's the biggest
Right.
thing. Yeah. So you're having a controlled environment, and then the machine will actually guide the member or client through the test, talks to them as well. It's very polite.
Right.
And then the footprints actually illuminate. So from a it's almost
Very cool.
from a operator standpoint. I mean, the learning curve on it's pretty minimal. You know,
Right.
It's very similar to dare I say Apple, whereas the technology is really, a lot of it's in its simplicity. And so you're able to have people like me who is not very techy,
Right.
be able to come in and educate a staff in a matter of minutes in terms of how to utilize the device.
And again, I just want to say that the components are no joke. Just everything that we kept taking out of boxes was like so heavy and so well, and it all fit together. So it's well engineered, and it's just
Germans, right?
The Germans,
German engineering. Yeah.
BMW, Mercedes, and Seca.
That's it. The top three. The big three of Germany.
Top three.
Yeah.
You can drive this thing, right?
That's the next update.
So what on like accuracy and again differentiation from others in the market, the fact that it's repeatable, the fact that we have height that's always calibrated. I mean, it doesn't. We lie. The thing doesn't lie. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just for me, everything I look at again is just from an overall, workflow perspective. So, it's great that you have this easy workflow, but now where's that data going? So it's going to the cloud, right? And
That's a great point. Others come with like cheap printers and these forms, and you don't have them.
Paper and stuff like
and
that.
then how do you track progress?
That's exactly right.
And you
So we have these printed up into PDFs, which you can certainly do. However, what most people do is either have an iPad or tablet or whatever it may be, and the results will populate. And I have to be careful because I was warned by my tech team that I can't say instantaneously, but it's milliseconds.
Sure. Pretty fast. No, it's very fast.
Before it populates, and you guys.
By the time you get off the scale and watch the computer,
there.
it's there.
It's already there. And then not only that, you're able to not only see all the parameters, but also track them over time. You're able to customize the dashboard, so you have a user interface and then or admin interface and then a user interface.
Right.
Really, we don't. The Seca Tru product is at a place right now where we're not trying to have you adapt to our workflow. We want to provide you a product that you're able to adapt to your workflow,
right,
and enhance what you're already doing. And I think that we've accomplished that.
And by the way, in our workflow, I mean, we're just going to include it. Some charge extra, some make it a business, right, of charging people. You want a body scan, contact us. We'll do it for free, and we'll talk about it, and you can look at it, and you can make a decision whether or not you want to improve these numbers or not. It's going to be part of our initial consultation process. It's going to be part of our monthly trainings with all our clients. So this is going to be a big piece of our business. I think it's going to take our customers, our clients' experience to a whole new level. And again, it becomes exciting and motivating, and numbers are improving, and of course they're improving because you're putting the work in. And then you can say, oh, okay, well, maybe I do need to put a little bit more discipline on showing up, or eating right, or sleeping, etc.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, it's there's different business models out there. I think me personally, with my experience in the health clubs and training and so forth, is that yes, you can monetize it. Do I think that's a little short-sighted? I think it is.
Yeah.
So I think the bigger picture of it is to get folks into a structured program, whether it's 1 time a week, 5 times a week, 2 times a month, whatever it is, whatever fits their needs.
Sure.
But to be able to have this protocol being part of the overall member experience, to me, it's like how do you not have it? How do you not have a starting point, a reference point? I mean, it's like otherwise you're flying with blinders on, right?
I agree. Again, it's all feeling and whatever else, but this just takes it up to that professional. Again, like a doctor with blood results, it takes it up to a scientific level, which again is so important.
It's everywhere, man. I mean, look at I was just listening to one of the Brown shows or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so as you know, we have some players out this week, right? And we could have a lot of players out, but rest assured they're doing everything on their end. They have every piece of technology that'll measure the recovery levels. And if you don't have a baseline, how do you know when they're back, they're able to return, whether it's concussion, whether it's ACL, whatever that may be.
Sure.
And so, whether it's your body composition or whatever it may be, in today's world of data and technology, if you don't leverage it properly, you'll be behind, right? So it was, a lot of these products were created for a reason.
Right.
And, it's up to you to be able to harvest it and maximize it.
When we scanned our client before this podcast, something came up that he never discussed with us about.
Yeah.
And again, it would have been part of a 1 hour assessment that we got in 24 seconds off this machine. But talk about that, like past injuries and how that shows up on the.
Yeah. So one of the different tests that we run is we actually weight each limb independently. And so typically if you have an injury, you're going to experience some sort of muscular atrophy into the limb. So whether you tear a bicep or whether you rotate a cuff or whatever that may be, right?
Right.
By us measuring each limb independently, if we can see, typically we say about a half-pound delta in muscle mass between in an asymmetry from right to left. Usually is a pretty good indicator right off the bat of, hey, did you ever injure your right arm? Yeah, man, I tore my tricep twice. How'd you know? Well, it's right here. So from a trainer aspect, being able to have that initial diagnostic, if you will, or indicator, I should say.
Right.
I want to make that clear. My device and no other device out there diagnoses anything, but it does give us an indicator of, hey, this is something we need to look at and keep in mind, right? Or
Sure.
something they may not even have known has happened to them before as well. So as part of your intake, whether it's your first session or whether it's your 20th session with a trainer or whatever that may be, having that sort of information available to you, you can imagine what that, from a trainer's perspective, of how you can help tailor a program, help with maybe some vitamin and supplement recommendations or whatever that may be. But it's kind of funny because it's we get a kick out of it when we go to trade shows or conventions, and I won't even tell them that, and I'll just be like, hey, when did you injure your left leg? Well, how'd you know that? So it's a good conversation piece if nothing else.
Sounds good. So we have, because Jeremy needs to jump on a call in 10 minutes, so we have 6-7 minutes. So I'd love to go through our results quickly. Obviously, I'm for me, I feel like I'm up there as far as best shape of my life, but again, the BMI still shows obese. Do I have some fat to lose? Absolutely, but take people through my results.
Yeah, so when we look at, when the results come out, this is a printable version. Again, you don't have to have it. Some devices out there you have to have a special printer, a special paper. It's $90 a month. It's pretty crazy. This is just regular paper. I'm assuming e-block, whatever. Right. But or you can have the results in the app or the portal or whatever it may be. But for demonstration purposes today, we're looking at everything from skeletal muscle mass over age to different methods of recovery. But we really get into some different things as far as different health metrics. So we talk about visceral adipose tissue, right? And while we haven't measured that on you yet, we did with Jeremy, right? And as you can probably see, Jeremy doesn't really have a whole lot of visceral adipose tissue, which is great. And we do leave that measurement in liters because most people, it's more of a visual thing. Most people can visualize what 2 liter of soda looks like.
Right.
I've seen a client before have 8-9 liters worth of visceral fat.
Right.
Now that's something that we want to focus on, right? Because now that's a little excessive. Now this is the gentleman that is in their middle, it's still
and visceral fat is the fat literally that's around your vital organs.
Yeah. And what's interesting about that is you get some of these guys or girls or whoever, and probably myself at one point when I was a competitive bodybuilder, but they're like, oh, I'm 5%, 6%, and it's okay. Because you have this visual of Jerry Rice back in the day with 8-pack abs and said he was 6%, so you think that that's what that has to look like.
Right.
Well, if you do the math on it, I believe you have to have 8 pounds of fat, 8 pounds of 4 pounds of fat alone to 8 pounds of fat, excuse me, around your kidneys, just for your kidneys to function properly. So if you're 200 pounds and you have 8 pounds of fat, that's 4% right there.
Right.
Just to support your kidneys.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
if someone says I'm 6% or 5%, it's like, you're probably not.
Might not be healthy, right?
Well, wouldn't be healthy, you'd probably be dead, if that's what you truly were. So, by taking into consideration not only the external fat, but also the internal as well,
Right.
is a great indicator of overall health. And of course, Jeremy is doing phenomenal.
And again, it's not necessarily optimal health, but we're looking for progress,
Improvement.
right?
Yep.
So if you have 9 liters
Mm-hmm.
and you're here and you're working out to get it down to 8,
Correct.
and then 7,
That's
and then
right.
6, that's the joy in the journey of knowing you're again growing healthy, growing young, and losing what's bad for you. And so numbers, we talked about it a little bit, that some people are scared or intimidated, or it scares them off. Talk about that from your experience. Like,
Yeah.
why would they be? They just haven't made the decision that they really want to fix themselves. Is
I think it's it's a lot of things, and there's a psychology, as we talked about, that goes into that, and it's there's a lot of people that have to get up every ounce of courage and every ounce of nerve and grit in their entire body to be able to walk into a fitness facility, right?
Right.
Whether it be a private boutique-esque facility like yourself, or whether it's a commercial gym or whatever it is. No matter what, they could be in the parking lot of a gym that is, got literally 2 guys in there or girls that are in phenomenal shape. That's the only thing they see.
Sure.
They think that, I gotta get in shape before I even go to this gym, or I gotta get in shape before I even go to this trainer. Well, then of course that delays the decision, that much longer. So, really, people are scared of the hard work. They're scared of maybe the environment, or they're embarrassed, or whatever it may be. And we all have those insecurities.
Do you know my reply to it's hard work? Living that life is harder.
It is.
It's way harder.
Yeah.
I mean,
You've
coming-
seen it, you've done it, right?
I've seen it, I've done it,
Yeah.
I've seen others do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're working out, but you feel like $1 million walking out
Yeah.
every day. So it's instant gratification, and your life gets easier and healthier, and your mind gets clearer. And I mean, there's a million benefits.
Right.
Versus the hard work of not doing it is
Yeah.
the point, and having bad test results.
So I have 2, I guess now they're both teenagers. I have a 13 and a 16-year-old, and they're both very high level athletes, and our lifestyle is crazy. We travel literally all around the country for different sporting events and whatnot. And, my wife and I are the ones in the hotel, or, if I know one of my guys that owns a gym in the area, I'll hit him for a pass or whatever it is. But we're the ones getting up at 5 o'clock and going to work out, even if there's a 7 or 8 o'clock game. Because if we don't do it, take the time for ourselves, we can't be the best parents we can possibly be for our kids. And this is why we do it.
Right.
I think a lot of parents have great intentions. They do want to be, great parents. They do want to provide for their children and provide them opportunities they never had. But because the today's lifestyle is so crazy, they almost feel guilty about taking that time for themselves.
Right.
Well, guess what? If you don't take that time for yourself, all this other stuff you're doing is going to be for nothing. So I think that and people have to realize they have to take care of themselves first before they can take care of others.
100%.
So true.
100%. Yeah, what good are you with a heart attack?
Exactly, right? Exactly.
What so Jeremy's Mr. Optimal Health. What numbers should he be proud of, and what numbers should he be improving on?
The biggest thing with Jeremy, obviously we talked about his adipose tissue. Jeremy's lean. He's got, I don't think he has a waist. It's pretty non-existent. If I could say one area for Jeremy, maybe add on a little more muscle mass. And so
That's what we're working on now.
yeah, Jeremy's very symmetrical. His there's one area where he is his overall skeletal muscle mass, and one of the things about the Seca Tru that we do is the scoring system and
Right.
the badge system. So Jeremy scored a gold, and
What I score?
you're still working on your first
badge.
You're still working on a bronze.
I'm still working on a bronze.
Well,
I'm not even at bronze yet.
You're almost at bronze. You're 3 points under bronze. So
3
next
points
time
under
that I
bronze.
stop by,
100%. And
You almost medaled. Next
Yeah.
Olympics, Eric.
but getting this report where I was.
I'd like to see. I'd like to see where you were a year
Oh,
ago, right?
yeah.
When you started to finish it, right?
Yeah. So just seeing the fact that I'm in the green
Yeah.
on most things is really
Empowering,
inspiring,
right?
empowering, inspiring, etc.
So I'll tell you another story. So working with the team out in Denver, and the wellness director at this particular organization we were at, attractive lady, tall, slender. It was summer, so she had a sundress on. She looked fantastic, and we do her score. So she also did not.
Bronze.
She did not hit a bronze. Okay, so she was like in the low 80s. Why was that? Do you guys know? She was lean. She had no muscle mass.
No muscle mass, yeah.
Got it.
We need muscle.
You need muscle. So she clicked in her head. Ironically, we were having lunch, and she was sitting next to her personal trainer, and she said, "I really need to start eating more protein." And her personal trainer about drops her fork and said, "I've been telling you this for 2 years."
But that's the point. We do tell clients till we're blue in the face,
Right.
and then they see something somewhere or
Right.
hear something somewhere. Hopefully, this is it.
Yeah.
That they can see, and this validates what we're saying, and it, excuse the impression, but punches them in the face
Yeah.
and says, "Oh, okay, I got it now. Now the dot
And
connected."
that's the whole reason why we call it the Seca Tru. It's the truth.
It's the
Oh,
truth.
the
Yes.
truth.
The
The truth will set you free.
It's
The truth will set you free. No, but I can tell you literally, since I measured in the last 2 days, for me now the priority obviously is to lose that fat
Yeah.
percentage. I think that's what caused me from the bronze, but I still get a participation medal. Right?
That's on Jeremy's side.
Yeah, we'll give them one.
But yeah, my fat mass index is on the high end. My body mass still shows obesity, but I get it that it's not. But skeletal muscle is great. But again, if I had to choose a priority of what I need to focus on over the next 30, 60, 90 days, it's definitely to get rid of that
Yeah, and it's
extra
just,
fat.
what I tell people all the time, it's a tool. It's a tool in your toolbox, and we have all this wonderful technology. How do you utilize it? And there's a difference a lot of times. I know we're getting close on time, so I'll kind of wrap up with this. But it's interesting because I've spent a lot of my years in Michigan, and so
Yeah.
It's been said that Eminem, has his content is a little bit questionable,
Right.
especially some of his older stuff. But you can't argue with his delivery. His delivery's phenomenal. The guy's a genius.
Right.
So I found it to be very applicable in fitness and the difference between content delivery. So I had all my clubs that I've overseen over the years, and I've had my different trainings with my staffs. We always go through that analogy of content and delivery.
Right.
And I think that's one of the areas that we've nailed at Seca is that we're providing you with content, but we're also able to help you deliver it the right way to an individual. Because sometimes the content can be
Great.
a little scary, even though
Great
it's the truth.
analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it.
So you're so experienced in the industry. So what do you think of what you've seen and our conversation?
First off, I totally love it because from an operator standpoint, you found a little gem here. you pretty much got your whole floor. So you have sort of two main areas, and then an area to be able to do stuff like this and do podcasts.
Right.
For what you guys are doing, it's more than just about working out. It's a whole 360-degree approach.
Right.
Mindful, body, spiritual, mental, nutrition, the whole 9 yards, and that all goes into play into overall health and wellness. And so, the way you have it set up in terms of small boutique, 1 to 2 clients at a time, great equipment, the same equipment you would find in any commercial multi-million-dollar club, the exact same.
Right.
I know because I've had it all in my clubs, and I know where you got it from. And I think you guys have really nailed it. So I'm really excited to see your new location downtown too as well.
Thank you. And
Thank you so much.
And again, salespeople in general have negative connotations, right? Pushy, but but the right salesperson
Yeah.
comes off super knowledgeable, helped us through the process, make the right decision. We're super happy with it. I'm looking forward to working with you for a long time now.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks
for
you.
coming on.
Thanks for
Okay,
having me, man.
if you guys want a body scan, no cost.
Hit us up.
Hit us up. Come by. We'll do it. All you do is punch in literally your birthday or your phone number, and forever you're stored. So we can track progress. Become a client, great. Don't become a client. It's up to you. We anyway want to share the love and share the data. So stop by, hit us up, and again, thank you.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye.